We're joined by Alberta's Minister of Arts, Culture and Status of Women, Tanya Fir. Thank you so very much, Minister, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Women and girls in Alberta disproportionately face gender-based violence every day. When I say that, what is your response?
Yeah, I agree. And it's unfortunate, and that's why I was so happy with the announcement that we made yesterday with the federal government in terms of the $54 million over 4 years funding that we're partnering with and receiving from the federal government to put together a national action plan, a 10-year strategy to end gender-based violence. Of course, there's so many steps and measures that our government has already taken, but there's much more work to be done, gaps to be filled in, root causes to be identified. So with respect to kicking that process off and the engagement process, which will include roundtables, it will include an online survey, it will include a telephone poll. We need community leaders and community organizations to help us inform our 10-year strategy. And we need to make sure that in addition to community organizations, we're including, BIPOC individuals, we're including refugees and immigrants, we're including those in underrepresented groups. So I'm very much looking forward to this process and this engagement.
Thank you very much, Minister. In August, your office or the government released a press release about stopping sexual and gender-based violence in Alberta's post-secondary education. What can you tell us about the impact of that work you've done in our post-secondary education today?
Yeah, so excellent question. I'm actually going to be meeting soon here with individuals from the post-secondary communities to get more information on that and review that. I know also my colleague, Minister Rajan Sani, who's Minister of Advanced Education, is working on that as well. I don't have too much to report on it yet because I am having a meeting upcoming with those organizations to learn more about those survey results and what we can do in my Ministry of Arts, Culture and Status of Women. So stay tuned for more details on that.
Absolutely, we will most certainly do. Now, in our world today, there's a lot of suffering. Most recently is the war in Gaza, terrorism in Israel. Could you brief us on what the province is doing to support those who have been affected by the terrorism in Israel and the war ongoing in Gaza?
Yeah, isn't it just unbelievable, T? Like, isn't it just heartbreaking when you see these images on TV and see these images on social media of what is happening and the brutality and the atrocities? It's just unbelievable, and it makes me sick to my stomach. And I know I was able to participate. I believe it was on Sunday night. There was a gathering at a Jewish congregation here in Calgary, and I was deeply humbled and honored to be able to speak on behalf of the Alberta government to let the Jewish community know that we stand with Israel and that we condemn the terrorist acts of Hamas, and that we will continue to stand with them and be a voice for them. Later today, I'll be joining Premier Daniel Smith on a meeting with a Zoom meeting with the Jewish Federation of Edmonton to hear more from them and reiterate to them our government's support as well. I think so to answer your question, Tia, about what we can do, I think it's important that we're vocal with our support, that we unequivocally condemn terrorist acts, and that we continue to hear and be a voice and make sure that they know that they are supported by our government.
Thank you very much. I think you've spoken very well, and I like the response. We need to call it for what it is. It's acts of terrorism in Israel that's what led to all of this. And I think also what you're saying is that Israel has the right to defend herself.
Absolutely.
Hmm. It would be nice to hear more and follow more on what the province is doing to support all those who have been affected by that. Moving on to other issues, earlier this week we celebrated the Day of the Girl Child. Now, how vital are girls in the province today? And I'd like to link this up with the work your department is already doing with the STEM Week. October 8 to 14 was declared as a STEM week, and applications have been opened for women in STEM. My question is how prohibitive or open will the application process be? And is this something even BIPOC women can partake in? Is it going to be accessible? The accessibility of this program is maybe what my question is aimed at.
For sure. I mean, our government wholeheartedly believes that women have such an important part to play in writing the next chapter in Alberta stories, and that's why we're making sure to step up to support them towards further economic participation. And I'm glad you asked about STEM. Our women in STEM and Persons Case scholarships help to build a diverse, talented workforce by creating opportunities for Alberta students to study in fields where their gender may be underrepresented. And our government has invested more than $10 million over 3 years in Women Building Futures, for example, which empowers women to pursue careers in high demand trades. And we also want to encourage, women, as you mentioned, in BIPOC communities to apply for these types of scholarships. We know the more women that we have in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and math, the stronger our province is for that. So absolutely encourage people to go to alberta.ca where they can find out more information about those scholarships.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to uh, food prices in the province today. I don't know if you've noticed, but the price of bread and basic food items have drastically escalated. Could you remind us of what the government is doing is this something the government can do? Is this a problem you can solve to help families who may be struggling with the escalated or inflated price of food at this time?
Yeah, I have noticed that when I'm in the grocery store, and I know one of the things that we're looking at is like you say, in conjunction with the federal government. I know the federal government is looking at this as well. Is what can be done about escalating food prices, and I know the federal government, I believe, is working closely with the 4 or 5 biggest grocery store chains to find out really if the increase in prices is warranted based on their costs and what can be done there. I know our government on a larger scale has taken several affordability measures over the last couple of years to try to help Albertans keep more money in their pockets. And as it relates specifically to grocery store food prices, that's something that I think will involve a little more looking into to see what really are the root causes of that and if anything can be done there. So I can certainly follow up with you, T, for more information on that.
Thank you very much. I'd like to focus on the government's policies around diversity and multiculturalism. Can you comment on what the government is doing to advance diversity in the province today?
Yeah, so there are several ways that we're looking to do that. I mean, we have an amazing Minister, Mohammed Yassin, our Minister of Immigration and Multiculturalism, has got some amazing things happening there. We want to make sure that we're committed to making resources and supports available to all Albertans and providing equitable opportunities for everyone to participate in social, economic, cultural life. And gender equality cannot be achieved unless women and girls feel safe, as a very foundational point, which was to our earlier conversation around the gender-based, the National Action Plan for gender-based, to end gender-based violence that we talked about. And it's advisory councils, it's meeting with various organizations that can inform us and give us information on what we can do to improve things. Diversity is one of Alberta's greatest strengths, and as our population becomes more diverse, we remain focused as a government on promoting the benefit and value of a multicultural society. So one of the ways we do this, for example, is with the Premier's Council on Multiculturalism and the Alberta Anti-Racism Advisory Council, as well as numerous ethno-cultural and anti-racism grants.
Okay. Thank you very much. I suppose people can go onto alberta.ca to find more about the ethnocultural grants you've just mentioned.
Absolutely.
Minister Fir, could you describe in what specific ways your government is supporting Black artists and Black writers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very blessed with my Ministry of Arts and Culture having that responsibility. And, some points I can share with you is Black writers in Alberta can apply for literacy individual project funding through the Alberta Foundation for the Arts. And through its pluralism policy, the foundation is nurturing equity and diversity for artists of all backgrounds. And I'll continue to search for new ways to ensure Black writers are supported in Alberta. So I welcome input, T, from you and your viewers and your listeners and your community on ways that we can continue to support Black writers and artists, in addition to the work that we're already doing through the Alberta Foundation for the Arts.
So if we had views we wanted you to be aware of, how would we communicate that to you?
Yeah, so I would ask that you would reach out to my department directly, to my Ministry of Arts and Culture and Status of Women, and share your views and share your feedback with me. That's the best way for me to know what's needed, what's important, and how we can move forward.
Yeah, many Black artists often complain that there's space for them, but they don't have the means to bring to fruition their ideas, either as visual artists, as photographers. And I know that the province is well aware of some of these challenges, but maybe we're not aware of what the government is doing to support them.
Yeah, and that's why, like you say, it's important that we keep those lines of communication open, and we have the opportunity to continue to share that information. I mean, Alberta artists, they form the basis of the cultural fabric for our province, and our lives are richer for it. And as I mentioned, the Alberta Foundation for the Arts, it's under my ministry. They support the full participation, equal participation for all Albertans. I know they're addressing issues of equity and diversity, inclusion, and accessibility through their pluralism policy. So would absolutely encourage your viewers that they can find out more about the programs, the opportunities, by going to the Alberta Foundation for the Arts website, which is www.affta.alberta.ca/EDIA. I can make sure, T, that Garrett provides you with that link and that email as well, because that's a great source where more information can be obtained.
I can tell you that I didn't know of the Alberta Foundation of the Arts. I knew of the Edmonton Cultural, I know Edmonton has one, but I didn't know there was a provincial place we could go to look for help. So that was helpful. Thank you. Now, when I look at voice training, drama, music lessons, this is becoming the exclusive preserve of the middle class. Could you describe how the work you're doing is going to make arts and drama remain accessible to single income households across the province?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm meeting with various arts and cultures organizations in Calgary and Edmonton and across the province, is I am asking them to share with me what they are doing to make arts and culture as accessible and affordable to as many Albertans as possible. And I'm so pleased with some of the things that I'm hearing so far, whether it's from the Glenbow Museum in Calgary or the Contemporary Calgary in Calgary, some of the programs and steps that they're doing to make arts and culture venues and tours either free or a low cost or an affordable cost, because to your point, T, we want to make sure arts and culture is open to everyone, and that cost is not a barrier. So that's something that I'll be continuing to look for them to make sure that they're sharing with us as a government about what they're doing to make that affordable, and making sure that they're communicating that with the public.
Minister Fir, we have 30 seconds. This is my final question. Tuesday was World Mental Health Day, and I'm sure the province would have celebrated this in one way or the other, but I didn't hear about it. Could you describe what the province is doing collectively for mental health? And could you also share what you do for your mental health? You've got a very complicated and complex portfolio there.
Yeah, our government absolutely places an importance on mental health. I mean, from when we were first elected in 2019, we had a ministry for mental health and addictions. And our minister in that area, Minister Dan Williams, who's our current Minister of Mental Health and Addiction, is doing so much important work in that regard. And, as far as dealing with my mental health, it's the opportunity to make sure that you're taking the time to do those very basic but very important things in life, from sleep and spending time with friends and family, and making sure that you spend some time to do the hobbies and interests that are important to you, whether it's reading a good book or watching a good movie. I know one of the books that I've just started reading right now, I was spoken to at an event. It was shared with me. It's called Landed, Transformative Stories of Canadian Immigrant Women. And I've just started reading it, and there's all sorts of fascinating stories in here that just remind us of the resiliency of people that come to our province and what they do. So I know for me, reading is one way that I kind of escape and deal with some mental health time for myself.
Oh, that is so sweet. It's nice that as busy as you are, you get time to read and also to look after yourself. Minister Fir, you are the Minister of Arts, Culture and Status for Women. Thank you so very much for joining us this afternoon.
T, thank you for having me, and I look forward to joining you again in the future.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you.